Not even 100 days are left for the UPSC Prelims 2024. The UPSC Prelims 2024 is scheduled to take place on 26th May 2024, the day for which people have been preparing since last 1 year. And this is the time when everyone is searching for the trend analysis. And that is why we have brought the UPSC PYQ trend analysis of last 10 years. That how many questions are being asked from which subject, which portion, and you need to focus on what all things. So, let's begin. So, we will be discussing about the UPSC CSE Prelims 2023 GS Paper 1. That is GS Paper 1 means the GS Paper 1, that is the General Studies, which decides the cut-off marks of prelims. As the other paper, which is the CSET paper, is a qualifying paper in nature. So, you need to score the 33% marks in it. But the cutoff is decided by the General Studies paper, that is the GS paper, which consists of all the GS subjects like the polity, history, geography, current affairs, environment, science and tech, and many other things. So, hello and welcome to the trend analysis video of Drishti IAS. I'm Aisha and let's begin. So, if we will look at the UPSC CSE Prelims 2023 paper subject wise, then we will get to know that the subject art and culture, from the topic art and culture, there were 3 questions and the topic was visual arts, language and literature, philosophical and religious systems. So, if we talk about the art and culture specifically, then there are few points which becomes very important for you people to read. Like for example, the Jainism and the Buddhism aspect is something you cannot leave. The temple architecture is something which you cannot leave. So, in the year 2023, art and culture had 3 questions. If we talk about the ancient India, it had 5 questions. So, in ancient India was a part where the number of questions increased. Medieval India, 2 questions. Modern India was around 3 questions, and if we talk about history, then it consisted of around 15 questions overall. Then comes the part of polity and governance. It had around total number of questions were also around 15. Then comes the economy aspect. Economy had there were 2 questions from public finance, 4 questions from money and banking. So, money and banking is the most important part in economy. You need to cover this aspect because this is something which cannot be left as the questions are asked from it. Then comes the financial market, 2 questions, agriculture and industries, 4 questions. The proportion of agriculture has increased and the importance of agriculture has also increased in the last 2 to 3 years. So, agriculture becomes a part which you cannot afford to miss. Then 1 question from external sector and 4 from miscellaneous. Then comes the geography. Geography is also a subject which has bounced back as compared to the last 3 to 4 years. The year 2023 saw many questions from geography being asked and also from both Indian geography and world geography. Now coming to the Indian geography, there were in total 8 questions, that is from mineral and energy resources, drainage system and physiography. Drainage system is something which is extremely important. That is, you need to know about the mountains, the rivers, the types of soils, types of forest and everything, because these are the aspects from where the questions are being asked. Now coming to the world geography, the questions were asked from world regions. There were 3 questions. Then climatology had 2 questions, earth and universe, resources of the world. So, world geography, what you cannot afford to miss is the climatology aspect. You need to know about how the wind direction or the climate of the world is working. Then comes the environment and ecology. Then the environment and ecology with geography is now covering a very, very large proportion of questions. Both of it comprises of more than 25 questions in total. So, if we will talk about The environment and ecology. So from the ecosystem, there was 1 question. Biodiversity and its conservation, 4 questions. Pollution and climate change, 4. International Organization and Convention, 1. Miscellaneous, 4. So pollution and climate change. So climate change is a burning topic. For both prelims and mains, it becomes important, a topic which you cannot afford to miss. And pollution also, you need to be very clear about what is going on, what is in the current affairs, and also the static portion, and about the pollutants also. Then coming to the science and technology, the basic science had 1 question, space science and technology 2 question. You need to be very well aware about what the ISRO and the NASA is doing, and specifically ISRO. Defense technology 1. Biotechnology is a portion in science and tech which you cannot afford to miss. As always, the question is being asked from this aspect of biotechnology. You need to be very well aware about the vaccines, the mRNA, the DNA, RNA, and everything which is with regard to biotechnology, and also any new aspect or any new invention if it has been done. Then energy resources 2, miscellaneous 2, and the current affairs, there were around 15 questions in total. Now coming to the polity aspect and the governance, introduction to the constitution had 3 questions. Introduction to the constitution becomes important, and always the questions have been asked from it, like for example the constituent assembly, the drafting committee, you need to know about everything. Then the citizen state relation, 1 question. Union, executive and legislature, there were 3 questions. And the chapter which you cannot afford to miss is the parliament chapter. 2 questions from union state relations, 1 from Indian judiciary, 1 constitutional posts and bodies, 2 governance and reforms, and 2 miscellaneous. Reforms is important from both prelims and mains, as questions are being asked in the mains examinations also. Now, if we will overall talk about the subject-wise distribution of questions, then art and culture had 3, ancient India 5, medieval India 2, and modern India 3. So, in total, history had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So, there were around 13-14 questions from history. Polity and governance had 15 questions. Economy had 17. Indian geography 6, world geography 8. In total, it becomes 14. Environment and ecology is 14. So, together geography and environment and ecology had around 28 questions. Science and technology 11, current affairs and miscellaneous around 15, 16. The points which has increased, that is like for us for surprise in 2023, was the geography, the world geography and the Indian geography. So, the world geography and the Indian geography, in last 4 to 5 years, we saw that the questions from geography were not very much in number, but the year 2023 changed it all and there were questions from it. Now coming to the art and culture, now we will be talking about what has happened in the last 5 to 10 years. Now coming to the aspect of art and culture, if we will see from the year 2008 to the year 2022, because we just discussed 2023. So if we will see, then earlier till the time of 2014, there were many questions which were being asked from art and culture, like for example 7 question, 11, 7, 8, 13. But after that, the number of questions from art and culture decreased and it reached to 5, 7, 5, 7. And the year 2020, 2021 and 2022, we saw that the number of questions were decreasing, but the questions are being asked. So art and culture is not a subject which you can afford to not read. You need to focus on few of the things. So these are the questions. In 2022 there were 3 questions, 2021 6, 2024 and 2019 there were 5 questions. So if you will see, then on an average 4 to 5 MCQs are being asked from the art and culture aspect. And if we will go by the things from which majorly the questions are being asked, so that is visual arts, performing arts, language and literature, philosophical and religious systems, fairs and festivals, miscellaneous. Fairs and festivals, the questions is being asked. If we go by the religious system, then Jainism and Buddhism you cannot afford to miss, language and literature. So literature is something which you have to read, and the literature, the questions have been asked in the previous years. You can also go and see the questions. We will be covering subject wise trend analysis also, in which we will tell you everything in detail. So this was about art and culture. Now let's talk about ancient India. So if we will talk what has happened in the last 10 years, so you will see that during the time of 2008 and 9, there were no questions being asked from ancient India. Then the number of questions increased to 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. So till the time 2015, there were 1 or 2 questions which were being asked from ancient India. But in the last 5 to 6 years, we will notice that the number of questions from the ancient India subject is on a rise. And that is, in the year 2018, there were 0 question which was asked. And then in the year 2019, there were 4 questions, 2020 4 questions, 2021 3 questions, and then in the year 2022, there were 5 questions. So last 5 years tells us that ancient India is a subject which is being now asked, because UPSC has this habit of not leaving anything, and you also cannot leave. So if around 4 to 5 questions are being asked from a subject, so it means that the subject becomes important. So ancient India, what you need to remember and read very specifically is with regard to the Gupta dynasty, the Mauryas dynasty, the Indus Valley civilization, and all others. Now coming to the medieval India part of history. So we will see that in the last 5 years, the medieval India, the questions being asked from medieval India has also increased. Like in the year 2018, there was 1 question, 2019 2, 2021. Then in the year 2021, suddenly 5 questions was being asked from the medieval India. 2022, there were 3 questions. So in the last few years, the questions from the medieval India has also increased in number. And medieval India specifically, you need to focus on the terminologies: Delhi Sultanate, Mughals, and the Vijayanagar Empire also. Then coming to the modern India, the most important aspect of history, if we will say overall, because the number of questions asked from modern India is equivalent many a times to the total number of questions asked from the art and culture, ancient and medieval. Now coming to the modern India, we will see that the number of questions have always been on a rise, but in the last 5 to 6 years, we will see that the number of questions have decreased. So during the time of 2010, 11, 12, the number of questions was 11, 9, 12, 6, 5, 8. But in the last 5 years, we will see in 2018, number of questions was 14, 2019, 7, 2020, 9, 2021, 7, 2022, 4. And in the year 2023, we also saw that the number of questions was not much, it was 4 or 5. So the number of questions from modern India is on a decline. But this is an aspect which needs attention. You have to read it, because the number of questions can anytime peak from this portion. Then if we will talk about the points which you have to read, because from where the questions is constantly being asked, that is advent of Europeans, revolt of 1857. Revolt of 1857 becomes very important. Freedom struggle is a part from which the question is always asked, and it is not 1 question, 2 to 3 to 4 questions can also be asked from the freedom struggle. Most important part. Then the important development during British Raj, like for example the press, the civil services, the railways, all these developments you have to be very clear and well thorough with. Socio-religious and tribal movements and peasant movements is also a point from where the question is asked. And the post-independent developments, many a times 1 or 2 questions can be asked from this also. Now moving on to the polity and the governance aspect. So if we talk about the polity and the governance aspect, then if we will see from the year 2010, then the number of questions have been very fluctuating, but this is an aspect from where on an average you can expect around 15 questions. So you can see that in the year 2012, 21 question was asked. Then in the year 2016, 7 question was asked. Again in 2017, 23 questions. Then 15, 12, 16, 17, 10. But the average has always been 15 to 16 questions. So the points or the topics from where majorly the question is being asked is Introduction to the Constitution of India. That is, as I said, the Constituent Assembly, drafting committee and all the acts also. Then the citizen-state relations, union, executive and legislature. A point which you cannot afford to miss, because you will get a question from this portion in your prelims examination. Then governance and reforms is a point. Indian judiciary, you need to be very well thorough with the Supreme Court, High Court with regard to the Indian polity. Then the union state relations and all the committees related to it, the panchayats and the municipalities, and the committees related to the panchayats and the municipalities. Now coming to the economy part, if we will talk about economy specifically, then a subject whose relevance has been on a rise. So if we will see from the year 2010, then in the year 2010 the questions asked was 34. This was the highest number of questions that has been asked in economy. Then in the year 2014, 10 questions. 2015, 23, 2016 there was again around 32 questions being asked. Then 2017, 22, the average you will see is around 18 to 20 MCQ. So economy is a portion and which is technical, but if you get it right, if you get the concepts right, you will get and you will reach the correct answer. So economy in that sense is tricky, but is scoring also. So the portion which you cannot afford to miss in economy and the highest number of questions are being asked is money and banking. You need to be very well thorough with the repo rate, the monetary policy, the fiscal policy and the monetary policy tools, the banking system, inflation are the topics from where continuously the questions are being asked. And there is one more topic which is increasing in relevance, and that is the unemployment and the poverty. The types of unemployment. Agriculture is a portion which is increasing in relevance in the economy aspect also. Then International Economic Organization, like you need to be very well aware with regard to the IMF, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum and all others. So these are few of the aspects of the economy which you have to be very well thorough with. So national income like GDP and GNP, many a times you can also expect a question on this. Now coming to the geography, which in the year 2023 returned back, bounced back and has been an important subject in the past. So if we will on an average we see that the Indian geography, the number of questions you can see is 5 to 6. Earlier the number of questions were high, like for example before 2015 the number of questions were high, like for example 13 question, 12, 15, 10, 13. In 2014 13 questions was asked. Then from 2015 there were 6 questions, 2016 5 questions, 2020 there were 6 questions, 2021 8, 2022 9. So you will see that Indian geography is the approx number of questions that is being asked is around 5 to 6 questions. And if we will talk about the year-wise trend of questions, the topics which is important, then you can say most important is the agriculture aspect. You need to be very well versed with the practices that are taking place in agriculture. You need to be very well aware from Indian aspect with regard to the mountains, rivers, then soils, then forest, then map. These are the very important portion which you cannot afford to miss. Then drainage system, as we discussed, the important rivers of India, those 4-5 rivers is something you cannot miss. Then human geography, now the questions are being asked, and minerals also the questions are asked. Next comes the world geography. If we will see, then the world geography aspect is also now coming back. So if we will talk about from the year 2015, in the year 2015 there were 8 questions, 2016 1 question, it tanked down, then after that it is increasing in number. 2017 3 questions, 2018 3, then in the year 2022 we will see there were 12 questions around. So world geography, the average question you can say is also around 5 to 6. Many a times many questions can also be asked from this, and many a times you will see that the number of questions that is asked is very less. So the points which you need to keep in mind is world regions, very very important. World regions, you need to be very well aware about the map also, and also with regard to the world region, what lies where. And the climatology aspect is also something which you cannot afford to miss, because the types of climate is being asked and its features also. Then map, as I said, that in geography map is also from which around 3 to 4 questions are being asked, and many a times the number can go even higher. Now coming the environment and ecology, a subject which has increased in relevance in the last decade. So if we talk about during the times of 2008 and 10, in the year 2010 there were 19 questions, then 2012 19 questions, 2014 24, 2016 22 questions, 2018 15 questions, 2020 there were 15 questions, 2022 again there were 15 questions. So you can say that the average number of questions from environment is around 14 to 15. As the cutoff for the prelims, the IFS, that is the forest cutoff, is also there in the same paper is decided. So environment also plays a very big role there also. Now year wise trend of questions, the important topics, then most important is biodiversity and its conservation. You need to be very well versed with the biodiversity aspect. Then comes the international organization and convention. Conventions are always asked. You will always find a question with regard to convention in the prelims paper, and also the mains paper also has this. Then comes the pollution and climate change. Climate change is very obvious, and also the COPs or the conventions or any kind of protocol with regard to the climate change also becomes important. Now the ecosystem also, because ecosystem is huge, is a very vast concept. So knowing about the different aspects of ecosystem, and this you will be able to find out only when you read the previous year questions and you solve them. Then you will come to know that within ecosystem also there are specific points from where the questions are being asked. When we will do the trend analysis in the coming days, you will find the subject wise trend analysis being done. Then there you will be able to find out in detail that the questions are being asked from which chapter and how many questions are being asked from which topic. So there you will be able to find the breakup of all these terms. Now coming to science and technology. Science and technology, then during the time of 2010 there were 21 questions, 2012 10 questions, 2015 11, 2018 16 questions, 2020 13, 2021 around 14. So if you will say that the science and technology on an average has 12 to 15 questions, and this is basically about the current affairs and the application part of the technology. So the points where you will find the question: basic science, that is the basic physics, chemistry and biology. The questions can be asked from it, and the questions have been in the past asked from that aspect. Then the questions from biotechnology, as I earlier said, also all the technology aspect and what are the applications of that technology becomes very important. Then comes the space science and technology, whatever missions ISRO have sent and is planning to send, and what are the objectives of those missions. Then energy resources also, and defense technology, because India's dependence on the defense technology made in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliance is increasing, and that is why the defense technology always remains in news. So from science and technology aspect with static portion, current affairs become very important. Economy, environment and science and tech current affairs becomes very important. Now coming to the current affairs and the miscellaneous aspect. So if we will see that the importance of current affairs earlier was low, but during the time of and after to 2015 the dependence on the current affairs has increased. So if you will see that during the time of 2010 there were 3 questions, 2012 there was 0, 2014 there was 1 question. This was the time when current affairs was not being asked. Then during the time of 2016 there were 4 questions, 2017 12, then 2019 15, 2020 10, then 7, 2022 there were 10. So on an average around 15 questions are being asked from the current affairs aspect, that is the miscellaneous aspect. So current affairs is diverse. You need to be very clear about what you want to read, and that you can only get by knowing about the previous year questions and by reading those previous year questions again and again. So current affairs, because the average question is around 12 to 15, current affairs also will play a very important role for you in the mains examination also, because those current affairs which you will read for prelims will also help you in mains and will help you in fetching those extra mark, and value addition can also be done by the current affairs, because just writing the static will not help you. But as of now you need to focus on the prelims, and current affairs is one of the most important aspect, as the prelims examination is not even 100 days away. So be in the driving seat and read all the current affairs which you have studied till now. And if you are not giving the test, so start giving your tests also. For any kind of assistance if you need, you can go on the Drishti Learning app and can go and download the Drishti Learning app and can apply for any kind of crash course or any kind of test series which you think will be beneficial for you. So do your preparation, give your preparation a new boost and go through the trend analysis, and we will be getting the subject wise trend analysis for you also in the coming days. So read them and see them properly, and I wish you all the best for your examination. As I always say, that's all for today. Until we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.